both the angels and the saints. We look at there is nothing between our Ten Commandments. We know the Blessed Trinity. We invoke angels, archangels, the saints, the martyrs, invoke the souls in purgatory, and we offer this teaching that God is giving to us today for the release of souls in purgatory for those in need. Those who seek purpose in the country of existence. Yesterday, continuing our teaching, our Ten Commandments, as taught and revealed to us by God, the Eternal Father, through His visionary moral. And we thank her for remaining faithful to God. And may all who will hear this voice understand and live the word of God. As we light candle, we hand over to God. Our lips to Him. We spread the holy water wherever you are. May the angels who have invited spread this water. Take this holy water we're spreading to your homes so that it will destroy the enemies. It will dispel forces of darkness. It will unlock the evil keys the enemy has used to block you from cherishing the things of God. Today, we have come to continue from where we stopped in the study of the Ten Commandments of God. And God continues telling us, says, children, do not be misled to believe that your salvation is my responsibility. I have made the way clear for you through my Son, through my Son's passion and death. You now must, with your free will, choose your salvation by a virtuous life and obedience to my commandments. From the creation and sin of the first man until I gave the law to Moses, men governed themselves according to their own inclinations and fell into many errors and sins. Romans chapter 8, verse 13. After having received the law, they again committed sin by not obeying it. John chapter 7, verse 19. And thus, they lived on separating themselves more and more from truth and light, and arriving at the state of complete forgiveness. Now, this hour, when the world has arrived at the unfortunate impasse, and when, though the word has become incarnate, mortals are more careless of their way and seek it less. When the day of their transitory life passes swiftly, at the setting of the sun of time, when the light of eternity is approaching, closer and closer for the wicked, and the day without a night is being born for the just, when the majority of mortals are sinking deeper and deeper into the darkness of their ignorance and guilt, oppressing the just and mocking the children of God, when the holy and divine law is despised in the management of the iniquitous affairs of state, which is as hostile as they are contrary to my providence, when the wicked have deserved my mercy. In these predestined times, I wish to open a portal for the just ones through which they can find access to my mercy. I wish to give them a light, by which they can despise the gloom that envelops the eyes of their minds. I wish to furnish them a suitable remedy for restoring them to my grace. Happy they who find it, and blessed they who shall appreciate its value. Rich they who shall come upon this treasure, and blessed and very wise those who shall search into and shall understand its marvels and hidden mysteries. I desire to make known to mortals how much intercession of her is worth, who brought restoration of life by giving mortal existence to the immortal God. And this is our introductory as believers. Let's read this introductory journey. Say it here that children do not be misled, that we don't need to be misled by believing that our salvation is the responsibility of God. God said, I have made it very clear to you through my son's passion and death. You now must, with your free will, choose your salvation. With your free will, it is now your own task to choose your free will. And you choose that free will by a virtuous life and obedience to my commandments. A virtuous life and obedience to the commandments of God. And that is what God tells us through his prophet, his visionary Mary. And then through her visionary Mary Agreda, God continues to tell us that from the creation and sin of the first man until I gave the law to Moses, from creation, then up to the sin of the first man, then up until he gave the law to Moses, that men govern themselves according to their own inclinations. They govern themselves according to their own inclinations. And because they govern themselves according to their own inclinations, they fell into many errors and sins. That is Romans chapter 8, verse 17. And he says, after having received the law, so when the law of God, when the commandments of God has been given, handed over to man, they again committed sin by not obeying it. That is John chapter 7, verse 19. And thus they lived on like this, separating themselves more and more from truth and light, and arriving at the state of complete forgetfulness of this law of God. If you look at it, after receiving the law, after God must have given this law to us through Moses, we committed again the sin by not obeying that law. And then we continue to live on like that as if this law was not given. And as we live like that, we separate ourselves more and more from the truth and from the light. And that truth and that light is the commandment of God. And then we continue until we arrive at a state of complete forgetfulness of this. This is now at this hour when the world has arrived at so unfortunate a pass. And when though the word has become incarnate, which is the third state. Now the law of Moses we couldn't obey, and then he came up again, gave us his word, the word become incarnate, that is Christ. God says, we mortals are more careless of our way, and we seek that kingdom, we seek that salvation, we seek it less. And then he said, when the day of their transitory life, when the day of our transitory life, so our life is transitory. When the day of our transitory life passes swiftly at the setting of the sun of time, God has set that time for us. The time of living this transitory life, the time of how long we're going to stay in this last in this transitory life. When the day of their transitory life passes swiftly, you think you're living 100 years, 90 years, 80, 70. For God, it's just like a wind passing. When the day of their transitory life passes swiftly, at the setting of the sun of time, when the night of eternity is approaching closer, when that night of eternity is approaching closer and closer for the wicked, and the day without a night is being born for the just. When the night of eternity, what does God mean by night of eternity? Night of eternity is eternal damnation. When the night of eternity being in total darkness for eternity, when that total darkness, when that night that never gets into a day, when that night that remains totally dark, when the night of eternity is approaching closer and closer for the wicked. So for the wicked, this sweet life, the night is dark and is closer, inching closer and closer, and the day without a night is being born for the just. And then for the just, a day without a night is being born for the just. When the majority of mortals are sinking deeper and deeper into the darkness of their ignorance. And that is why God himself wanted to explain to us the nitty-gritties of the Ten Commandments. Because we are sinking deeper and deeper into the darkness of our ignorance and guilt. Oppressing the just, we are oppressing the just. We are mocking the children of God. When the holy and divine law is despised in the management of the iniquitous affairs of state, in the management of the wealth of the nations, of the states, which is as hostile as they are contrary to my providence. When the holy and divine law is despised, because the moment we despise the law of God, the holy and divine law of God, in the management of the iniquitous affairs of state, that's the management of the affairs of the state of Nigeria, of states in Nigeria, of all states in the world, many of them, the management of this is an iniquitous affair. It is the management, the affairs of the management of the leaders of the world is in their managing the providence of God given to them, position given to them. They do that iniquitously. It says, when the holy and divine law is despised in the management of iniquitous affairs of state, which is as hostile as they are contrary to my providence. They are the style they used to manage their affairs of other men is hostile, and they are contrary to God's providence. When the wicked has deserved my mercy in these present times, I wish to open, because the wicked deserves the mercy of God in this time. I wish to open a portal for these just ones through which they can find access to my mercy. So the just ones needs mess up. And God is saying He's going to open a portal for the just ones through which they can find access to His mercy. I wish to give them a light by which they can dispel the gloom that envelops the eyes of their minds. The eyes of your mind. If you look at the eyes of your mind, is it darkness in your mind? Is it locked up by Satan with evil keys in your mind? Do you feel, do you see gross darkness in your mind? And he says, God is saying, I wish to furnish them a suitable remedy for restoring them to my grace. A remedy to bring in forth, to bring in those just ones to the restoration, to the grace of God. Happy they who find it, and blessed they who shall appreciate its value. Rich they who shall come upon this treasure, and blessed and very wise those who shall search into and shall understand its marvels and hidden mysteries. I desire to make known to mortals how much intercession of her is what who brought restoration of life by giving mortal existence to the immortal God. So what we're looking at here is God is telling us to go the value of discovering blessed Virgin who stands to intercede for us, who brought the restoration of life to us by giving mortal existence to the immortal God. So that through her intercession, we will be moving into that light. That light. We will be born and move to that light that will remain with us for eternity. This is when the night of eternity is approaching closer and closer for the wicked, and the day without a night is being born for the just. So, Mother Mary will help us to enter into that eternal day without a night after this our transitory and swift life. And so for us to actually imbibe these 10 commandments of God, we need to actually realize that God has don't need to be blamed if we miss our internal selves. And then we will continue to analyze this beautiful exposition of God. And he says, God the Father says, let us begin with the first. Yes, we've reflected on the first commandment. We're starting again with it again. It says, let us begin with the first commandment today, remembering always that holy love is the embodiment of all the commandments. The first commandment dictates that you must recognize me as Lord of all creation and have no other false God before me. This must raise the question of what is a false God. People place many things ahead of love of me. These are in the form of false gods of personal comforts and appearance, wealth, sensual desires, reputation, entertainment, and more. Anything such as person, place, or thing that the soul does not honor as a grace from me is taking the place of a false God in history. Man must not subconsciously or with intent credit all good as from human effort. This places human achievement over and above his creator. Therefore, he makes human the omnipotent of his creator. All human efforts, any achievement, proceed from my paternal heart. Every human effort is a fruit of my paternal care for mankind. I will continue, children, with my dissection of the commandments. This is necessary, as the disrespect for my laws is common today. There is not an overall attitude of pleasing me. My most holy name and the name of my son have become common everyday slang words, universal. You see that? So let's get back to the first to do a little and brief analysis. And it says here, the first commandment dictates. I want you to look at that word, dictates. So the commandment is dictated to us by God. And we must stand to love those commandments because it is refined by God before he handed it over. The first commandment dictates that you must recognize him. So you must recognize God as the Lord of all creation. And God must be recognized as the Lord of all and every creation. And then he says again, and have no other false gods before me. You should not have other false gods before him. Then he now came up with the question. This must raise the question of what is a false god. A lot of confusion has followed this. False god. What is false god? And he himself explained and says, people place many things ahead of love of me. When you place anything, when you love anything more than you love God, it becomes a false god for you. That thing becomes a false god for you. These are in the form of false gods, of personal comforts. Your personal comfort is what you want. You can take a fuel of 20,000, 15,000, but you cannot give 1,000 naira to your hungry brother or sister. Personal comfort and that of your children is just what you want. When the brothers and sisters of your uncles or relations are going on total, when their children are going on total, when they are at home because of school fees, your children are where they pay 1,500,000 every term as school fees, but that of your close relations are not able to pay little amount of money for them to be in school. That is personal comfort. And appearances. Some might not even go to church because the dry cleaner did not finish the cloth they would love to wear to church that day. So they bring it to church. And some who don't even come to church unless they are on convoy. You go and get big cars to be in convoy so that when they drive in, people know that they are enter. That is false God. You see, wealth, doing anything to show you becomes false God. Then collecting your prayers, your devotion, everything about God in order to serve. Sensual desires. Sensual desires. Going after people that are not even your mind. Sensual desires. Of all kinds that is floating in the world today. Gay this, gay marriage, go this, or the same sex, all kind of nonsense, all the animalistic life that is going on today. You have reputation, reputation. You want your reputation, you don't mind, you don't care about virtuous life and good reputation. Entertainment, all sorts of things are turned into entertainment. Nakedness are turned into entertainment. Gluttony, all sorts of drunk, every type of drug, all have turned into entertainment. And many more like that. Anything such as person, place, or thing that the soul does not honor as a grace for me is taking the place of a false god in his spirit. Any person you please above the Lord, any place you please above the Lord, anything please above the Lord is already a false god. Place that in your spirit. Man must not subconsciously or with intent credit all good as from human effort. If God is not with you, all your efforts will be fruitless. So you don't need to attribute the product of your effort or the success of your effort to yourself. It should be to God. This places human achievement over and above his creator. When you do that, you have placed your achievement above your creator. Without your creator, you won't even be alive to achievement. So in every achievement, you see it as a gift from your God and you honor your God. Thank your God. You sing to your God, you pray to your God, you reverence your God because of that success. Therefore, he makes human the omnipotent of his creator. And then maybe you think because you have connections, and then because of that, the honor you ought to give to God, you give it to that person you think is the one that gave you, or do this or that. That person becomes a mini God to you. All human efforts, any achievement proceed from my personal heart. All your effort, all your achievement comes from the paternal heart of God. God takes it because of from his loving heart that favor comes. Every human effort is a fruit of my paternal care for mankind. All the efforts of man put together, wherever you are, making that effort for that achievement, it is one of the fruits of the paternal care for mankind. Nothing you achieve, instead of thinking that it belongs to you and you alone, and everything that comes out of it is for you, for your state, for your nation. No, it should be for the world. You should make sure that the fruits of that achievement, whether nationally, state, individual, goes round to all that requires and needs it. because it's a gift from God. Because I will continue, children, with my dissection of the commandments. So God is dissecting this commandment for us. This is necessary as the disrespect for my laws is common today. Yes, in the creation of the world, the current state of disrespect of the law of God in the whole world today has worsened more than ever. There is not an overall attitude of pleasing me. There is not an overall attitude of pleasing me. The attitude today is no more to please God. Within families, it's no more to please God. Within states, it's no more to please God. It's within nations, it's no more to please God. But to please their ego, their pride, their glory. So basically, there is not an overall attitude of pleasing me. Do you have that attitude of pleasing God? Do you know that it's important to have that attitude of pleasing God? Does it disturb you? Do you endeavor to develop that attitude of pleasing God? My most holy name and the name of my son have become common everyday slang words. The name of God, the holy name of God, the holy name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. God is saying it has become a common name. It has even turned into a slang name, a slang word used commonly, universally. Universally, it has become common everyday slang word. The second commandment states, "You shall not use my name in vain." That is the second commandment. Yet, the common practice today is to profane this law as a means of expressing surprise, as a means of expressing alarm or anger. Remember, he told us that his holy name and that of his son have become a common everyday slang word. And then, how do we use it as an everyday slang word? Look at it here. It's become a common practice to profane this second law that says that you should not use the name of the Lord your God in vain. The second commandment states, "You shall not use my name in vain." And say, yet the common practice today is to profane this law. So when you are using it in vain, you are profaning this second law as a means of expressing. So you profane it when you use it commonly as a means of expressing surprise, alarm, or anger. The motive in the heart when my name or my son's name is used needs to be one of reverence. The motive of invoking the name of God or in the name of Jesus Christ should be that of reverence. They are showing reverence to Jesus Christ, reverence to God. And that is why you are invoking their name, and it continues. It should be that of homage and respect. Let me take it again. The motive in the heart when my name or my son's name is used needs to be one of reverence, homage, and respect. But what is the motive that is universally applicable today? The motive is to use it as a mere mean to express surprise, alarm, or anger. Oh my God. Hey, I don't even know I will see you here. It's a common, maybe it's just useless thing that has not been. What is the motive? That is the question you ask yourself. The way I use to call the name of God, is it as a profane way? Do I use it in a way that amounts to profaning this law, this second law? Is it just ordinary or merely to express surprise, alarm, or anger? Or is it directed towards showing reverence, showing homage, and respect to God through His Son and Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? And he continues to say, during these evil times, there is very little respect or reverence in hearts for me. Because of even lost reverence for our parents, our mothers, reverence for our leader, reverence for our elders, then gradually you lost reverence for God. Every commandment has deep roots of understanding. Every commandment has deep roots of understanding. The commandment must not be summarily interpreted on a surface deep value. You may think you understand it very well, but you are still at the scratch. You are still interpreting it on a surface deep value. And that's why he's telling us every commandment has the deep roots of understanding. There are so many things you need to understand in every commandment. Have a lot of strength you need to understand in every commandment. Because these things will be what will derail you when you pass out of this world. And understanding it, because God has seen gross ignorance. That's why He decided through a daughter to come and teach us more, enlighten us more about His commandments. He says, every commandment has a deep roots of understanding. The commandment must not be summarily interpreted on a surface level. Each soul will be responsible for more. Each soul will be responsible for more, for understanding more and more. To know me is to love me. To know me is to love me. To know God is to love God. The soul cannot love me or know me apart from knowing and understanding my commandments. You can't love God if you don't understand His Ten Commandments. You cannot know God if you don't understand His Ten Commandments. If you don't know His Ten Commandments. A lot of us today pretend to know God. We love God. But the center and circumference of knowing Him and understanding Him is knowing and understanding His Ten Commandments. Because that Ten Commandments is a condition. It's a step into knowing Him, a step into being His friend, a step into going to Him, walking up to Him. That is the book where we will use to judge every human being that is created by God. The law book that God uses to judge us. It's a third commandment. That is why we need to understand it very, very clearly. And it says, remember that thou keep holy the Sabbath day. This is my third commandment. The third commandment. Remember that thou keep holy the Sabbath day. This is my third commandment. This law dictates the soul should be engaged in a should not engage. No, this law dictates that the soul should not engage in any unnecessary work or activity on Sunday. Look at that. The law dictates. Look at each of them is dictated for your soul to observe it, to know it, to understand. See, this law dictates the soul should not engage in any unnecessary work or activity on Sunday. Any unnecessary work, any unnecessary activity on Sunday. And he continues, unnecessary describes work that can wait to be accomplished until another day. Not when you have a job, the leftover, you say, okay, I'm not doing anything now. Let me just use this time to finish it. Because God will understand. When you know you can still finish it the next day, this on a Monday, you can finish it. Why not honor that day? You are honoring that day for God. Look at how he explains this. This law dictates the soul should not engage in any unnecessary work or activity on Sunday. Unnecessary describes work that can wait to be accomplished until another day. So any work that can wait until another day for you to accomplish it falls within this category of unnecessary. And he said the soul must not engage in any activity that invites others to work on the Sabbath. What you can say, call them, call all of them, let us round up this thing. So let us round up this thing. When I tell tomorrow one of us will go to another site. See, the soul must not engage in any activity that invites others to work on Sabbath day. You know that day is a Sunday. You won't keep it. You won't allow others to keep it because you are the oga, you are the big man. If anyone fails to come, you serve the person. Or your denominator does not your own holiday is not on a Sunday, and then you say, okay, because I'm not this, they must come to that day, or they lose their job, and you know that they are Christians of these things. Good. And God saying, unnecessary describes work that can wait to be accomplished until the soul must not engage in any activity that invites others to work on the Sabbath day. If you are invited to work on the Sabbath day, tell them I cannot work on that day. I can't work on that day. I can't work on that day. And that honor God will reward you for it. It must be observed as a day of rest in imitation of my day of rest on the seventh day. It must be observed as a day of rest in imitation of his own day of rest on the seventh day. As I engaged in creation of the world, engaged in the creation of the world, and on that seventh day, he rested. So we are asked to rest on that day in imitation. God is asking us to rest on that day in imitation of him. It must be observed as a day of rest in imitation of my day of rest on the seventh day as I engage in the creation of the world. Activity which is necessary will be caring for the sick. Those activities that are necessary. One of them is caring for the sick. So you can care for the sick only Sunday. Or a disabled. You can care for the disabled only Sunday. Supplying food for the needy. For the needy, your neighbor doesn't have anything. You just call and say, oh, we don't have anything now. Oh, then move. Rescuing those in their need. Rescuing those in their need. Maybe flood wants to carry you. And then you can afford, you go and rescue. Don't say it's on a Sunday. I don't come out on Sunday. I want to rescue those in their need. Or providing care for those in need mentally, physically, or emotionally. Providing care for those you know that if you don't provide that care, it might even result in worsening their situation or even lead to them. See, providing care for those in need mentally, physically, or emotionally. The Sabbath needs to be surrendered to the spirituality nurtured in the heart, which loves and gives praise to me. Surrender that day to developing yourself spiritually, to nurturing your spiritual growth, nurturing it in your heart, pouring out love, pouring out praises to God. And it continues. Children, not to understand the depths of the commandments is like walking past a beautiful flower bed that you do not stop to appreciate. If you don't understand it, it's just like you saw a very beautiful flower bed with good and appealing scents, and you don't stop to appreciate it. That means the 10 commandments, when we observe it, God will not pass us. We attract Him like that beautiful flower. He comes close to appreciate it. We come close to God to appreciate Him through that 10 commandments. It is a link between us and God. You may smell the fragrance, see the beauty, but you do not see my hand in the depths of the creation. Commandments are much, just know them. You must appreciate the deeper meaning of the laws I have given you. It's not enough to just know them and recite them and go. No, you must dig deep to appreciate the deeper meaning of each of these commandments that He has given to us. He says, the fourth commandment is to honor thy father and thy mother. The fourth commandment is to honor thy father and thy mother. This honor must arise from a deep appreciation of the role I have placed your parents in you. This honor must arise from a deep appreciation of the role I have placed your parents in. This honor must arise from a deep appreciation of the role I have placed your parents in. You need to appreciate the role God has placed your parents in. That role is the role of guiding you, of training you, of nurturing you. You need to appreciate it. You need to appreciate it. You need to appreciate it by being obedient to those parents. appreciating their efforts, not becoming a nuisance to them, not always going the negative way, obstructive to them. This honor must arise from a deep appreciation of the role I have placed in your parents in. You, as their child, are charged with respecting their parental authorities as a youngster, as a young boy, as a young girl, as a youth, as a young man. You must, and a young lady, respect their parental authority because that authority is given to them by God. And when they are exercising that authority over you, it is God that is exercising that authority over. It is God that is depositing into their hearts what they want to see in you, what they want to achieve when they are exercising that authority. So you don't need to see it as hate or wickedness on your part. Because it says, spare a rod and spoil the child. But the useless love today thought that statement does not hold water again. It actually does. That is authority God has given to your parents. So you, as their child, you are charged by God to respect their authority. As your parents age, you are charged with their physical and emotional well-being. So there are two charges there. As a young person, and as they become old, as they grow old, you are charged again to take care of the physical and emotional well-being. But at times we think we are grown and we're no more, we have no more responsibility over our parents. And a lot of parents abandoned in the road, abandoned in the villages, abandoned in the old people, so abandoned everywhere. Everywhere. People don't even give a helping hand to them again. Most especially those that have no children, or those their children are no more living with them or are living in other countries, overseas. They will be there rotting in pains, in sickness, and a lot of things. And then nobody, none of their children will see it, realize that God has charged them to take care of their well-being, both physically and emotionally. So the fourth commandment is reminding us the dangers of not observing this commandment, of neglecting this commandment. This honor must arise from a deep appreciation of the role I have placed on your parents in you. You, as their child, are a child respecting their parental authority. As your parents age, you are charged with their physical and emotional well-being. So the question today is, what time? When last did your father or your mother tell you thank you? Your old father and your old mother say thank you for remembering us, bringing this food for us, bringing these new clothes for us, giving us quality time, staying with us, taking us to hospitals, paying our bills, making sure that our house, television, bills are paid. When guys, they appreciated you. If not, please run back before you are caught in this fraud. law of God, commandment. To shrink these responsibilities is to profane the fourth commandment. Look at the word God is profane. Profane it. The next time you hear this is when that punishment starts. So it will be fatal if God will tell you, why did you profane this punishment? By that time, let this way. And no remedy. So now that you're hearing it, is a opportunity time you have to go and put smiles on the faces of your aging parents. And as a youth, to obey the authority of your parents. A lot rush home to spend millions in burying their parents. You construct roads, big borehole, pull down the building and set up a new one, win bed bugs, mosquitoes, cockroaches, and rats constituted 90% of the sickness that came with them. When he dies, now you decorate his bed, decorate his bed fabulously, decorate his bed with different types of lights, shining. You buy gorgeous coffin and everything will be shining. Stupidity, the highest order. Now that the person is alive, his house, his roof is leaking, his doors are broken down. When it rains, the window is weak. There is no good shade there. You don't even realize that you will have to give him a very good TV screen that he'll be watching. And then the person dies. Within 2 months, you have turned the house into a shining mini palace. You are caught up by this false judgment. See, to shrink these responsibilities is to profane the fourth commandment. Is to profane the fourth commandment. When your parents reach old age, you need to assume the role of their caregiver. Look at that. When your parents becomes old, you take charge, you take the role of a caregiver. Not all parents feel the role of good parents. Not nonetheless, I choose them to be your parents, and you need to accept their role as such. When you honor and respect your parents, you honor and respect them. Yes, in spite of the fact that their parents might not be wonderful, but God chose them for you. You still need to honor them, don't need to deny them that honor. Because when you honor them, God says you are honoring Him. Then the fifth commandment is, thou shalt not kill. The fifth commandment states, thou shalt not kill. And God continues, these days, this commandment is flagrantly violated. Flagrantly violated. Any taking of life is profaning the fifth commandment. Any taking, no matter how, under any guise, any taking is working against this fifth commandment. which says national. God observed here that it is this command is flagrantly violated. And any taking of life is profaning the fifth commandment. A whole industry, a huge industry, it says a whole industry, abortion has been built around violation of this commandment. The violation of this commandment has constituted a whole industry, a huge industry. And that industry is a profanation of this commandment. Since the whole industry, abortion, has been built around violation of this commandment. This also includes the harvesting and use of stem cells. Beyond that, there is the acceptance of euthanasia and suicide. I am the Lord and the giver of life. Only I must be the one who causes life unto me, unto myself. He gives life to himself, causes life to himself. No other person, no other person, no other person, no woman. God is not even a person. No woman. Any taking of life is profaning the fifth commandment. The whole industry abortion has been built around violation of this commandment. Abortion clinic. Those people take it as everything. They open abortion clinics, this and that. And so this is a law, it's now a human right. To destroy another woman is now a human right. It is now a choice. So you can now choose to destroy a life which you did not create. The passage of this infant from the womb to the world has become a torturous journey. A lot of these kids have been waylaid and destroyed through abortion. And God equally included harvesting and use of stem cells. Organ harvesting to destroy others, deceive them, you kill them, you sell their food. Some man is now parts, now like an ordinary vehicle. Harden your heart to do such grievous crime. It becomes a trade now. Beyond that, there is the acceptance of euthanasia and suicide. Kill someone because person is under sickness or like this and like that. Gradually, God is saying that the world has indirectly accepted this. We pretend we condemn it, but we don't. There is no organized way of global investing in stopping suicide, working to stop suicide. I am the Lord and giver of life. Only I must be the one who calls life unto myself. Disregard for this commandment has drawn morals to a new low. Morals have gone down. Very low end. Very, very low. This degeneration of morals threatens the general well-being of every nation. Degeneration of morals threatens the general well-being of every nation. How can there be well-being when there is not well-prepared way of guiding man? Few that have the means pay security left, right, and center to protect them. And then regard the life of the have-nots that are being wasted every day as not important. Degeneration of morals threatens the general well-being. So every nation and every human is supposed to imbibe good morality because it will save every nation. It will be a wage against euthanasia, suicide, and all kind of destruction that are going on today. Robbery, thievery, kidnapping, terrorism, and wars and rumors of wars. This is why there are unprecedented atmospheric events. Can you see that? Because of this morality that has nosedives. This is why there are unprecedented atmospheric events. What are these atmospheric events? Like floods, sacking a lot of people. Like earthquakes, sacking a lot of people, destroying lives. Wildfires. God Himself is telling you why these things are happening now. Because we have turned our back against good morals. The basic right to life is non-debatable. The basic right to life is not debatable. It's non-debatable. It should not even be debated at all. Whether a woman has a right to abort a child. That should not even be debated at all. Not to talk of going to court to adjudicate for it. No. Human life must be respected from conception to natural death. And that is our tax. That is your tax. That is my tax. Human life must be respected, protected, covered, and nurtured from conception to natural death. Natural death, not death by euthanasia or death by suicide or death by ambulant death. No. Every man is responsible for the protection of his neighbor's life, not destruction of neighbor's society, neighbor's children. Poisoning, all these things should be, and all these things constitutes disasters to all humanity. Unprecedented, unprecedented atmospheric events. Violation of this commandment is man's useless attempt to control his own destiny. What to control our own destiny. Useless attempt. to control our bodies. It's a violation of this commandment. Pure violation of this fifth commandment. Thou shalt not kill. Basic acceptance of my will precludes such an attitude. When you accept basically the will of God, this attitude of all morals, you should not even allow yourself to be perfect. My will is the basis and foundation of all commandments. The will of God. Setting your mind on the will of God resonates everything about the Ten Commandments. Gives birth to the Ten Commandments. Leads you successful through the Ten Commandments and observing it. As with every commandment and every sin, consent to violence, righteousness needs to be accepted in the heart first. As with every commandment and every sin, consent to violate righteousness needs to be accepted in the heart first. To consent to violate the right thing, first of all, they accept it in your heart. So to accept the commandment, you have to accept it in your heart. The same thing is applicable when you decide to derail that particular evil you want to do. First of all, you accept it in your heart. The sixth commandment, thou shalt not commit adultery. For you to commit it, first of all, you have to accept it. So you don't say you don't know when you commit it. Thou shalt not commit adultery is no exception to this rule. This sin, however, usually takes the consent of two people, but can be committed strictly in the heart and not acted upon physically. That is what our Lord did when you look at the woman lustful gaze. So at the chambers of your heart, you can take a little into it and commit physically. And physically, you can still brutalize your soul. Thou shalt not commit adultery is no exception. Is no exception to the fact as with every commandment and every sin. Consent to violate righteousness needs to be accepted in the heart first. If you fail to consent to that, you cannot violate it. But if you consent to it, then the next thing is that you violate it. I created sex for the purpose of procreation. There is a purpose for the creation of sex, for procreation. For procreation. Within this context, any act or thought which violates purity of heart is sinful. Any thought, any thought that violates, that goes outside the purpose that God created sex for, which is for procreation. It is sinful. It violates purity of the heart. If consented to outside of marriage, if you consented to it outside of marriage, and some people will say, what is he talking about? And if the thing is loose, what does he mean by that? My friend, you are hitting close to fire on your head. If you want to live this way, go and formally marry this person, wed this person, and even as I speak, this is the most profitable way Satan is using to push souls into hell. That even as I speak, I can see Satan. I can see his evil fingers. Because he doesn't want God to expose this particular commandment. I created sex for the purpose of procreation. Within this context, any act or thought which violates purity of heart is sin. If consented to outside of marriage, today's world has relegated sexual excitement to a free choice that all can participate in, regardless of marital status. That is what they have succeeded in. But have they succeeded in not being punished? No. From applying the punishment as applies to this particular commandment number 5, you cannot do that. So you better listen. You better lovingly formalize and stay away from this particular sin. Today's world has relegated sexual excitement to a free choice that all can participate in, regardless of marital status. This sexual enjoyment has become the tool of entertainment, advertising and clothing designs, to name a few. The eruption of sexual explosion of sexual enjoyment, nakedness, vain talks. It has become the tool of entertainment. Beverage industry, alcoholic industry, cigarette, clothing, all sorts of this. They all centered on using half-naked women in advertising, entertainment, in brothels, even along the streets. You see a lot of women dancing naked. You see the kind of short sneakers they wear today, sleeveless, that shows all the topography of the body of that person. Hello, trend will increase. There's no age limit now. Everything is possible. This sexual enjoyment has become the tool of entertainment, advertising, and clothing designs, to name a few. So, which way are you trapped? Is it under advertising? Is it under entertainment? Is it under the kind of wares you authority over body. This is true because man places his own enjoyment ahead of obedience to my commandments and pleasing me. You place your enjoyment, your entertainment, your own life above the commandments of God, above pleasing God. When you and you fall with this sexual excitement, free choice that that has no regard to marital status, then because you have violated this belated fifth, sixth commandment, because you have placed your enjoyment ahead of obedience to God's command. You have placed your enjoyment above your Creator, ahead. The love of your enjoyment above the love of your Creator, above pleasing your Creator. Make pleasing me your focus in life out of love for me. Yes, that's the right thing to do. Because it's make pleasing me your focus in life out of love for me. You make pleasing God your focus in life, born out of love to please God. Then one sin will not get a grip on your spirituality or your eternal destination. Look at sin grips our spirituality and our destination, our journey to our destination, our eternal destination. Sin gets grip. But God has told us that we should be pleasing Him, our focus in life, out of love for Him. Make pleasing God your focus in life, and you are doing that to please Him. That you are doing that out of that love you have, you desire to please Him. And if you do that, sin will not get a grip, have a grip on your neck, on your soul, have the key that you use to lock your soul. Sin will not be gripping your soul, will not be chaining your soul, will not be locking your soul. Or spiritual. And it will not hinder your eternal destination. It will not hinder, it will not be an obstacle. Sin will no more be an obstacle to eternal destination. If you make pleasing God your focus in your life, doing that out of love. The seventh commandments. What did the seventh commandment say? Thou shalt not steal, like the others, is transgressed to a disordered self-love. In profaning these commandments, the soul places self first ahead of my will. The soul loses respect for the boundaries of what is rightfully his and what rightfully belongs to God. In short, he takes what is not his to have. It does not only apply to material things, but also to another's reputation, which he takes when he speaks poorly of someone else. The soul is also guilty of violating this commandment when he misrepresents the faith to others in word or action. In so doing, he is stealing the faith from another side. Stealing small things encourages the heart to steal bigger and greater things. It is, of course, Satan who inspires any theft. Every theft is inspired by Satan. Today, let's get back to reflect more on this seventh commandment, which simply says, "Thou shalt not steal." Stealing has ruined families, individuals. In short, there's what I call thievery spirit in every person. In every person, most especially in this country. Thievery spirit. And this thievery spirit makes everyone looks at every other person as what he will exploit. In the office, starting from the gate man, he wants to exploit you before you see gate. Okay. In the office, he wants to exploit you before he or she does his work. In the church, he wants to exploit you before you get a good marriage or you get any position. Thievery spirits manipulates and destroys the society. Thievery spirit places the thieves in control. In a nation that has abundance of thieves, what they do is that the thieves takes over every source of income. All the major oil companies, they take every area where money comes from, they take over. And these are common thing goods that God has given out of his providence for that nation to use to take care of his population. But the thievery spirit, you have a minister who is not qualified to be in that ministry. But the true thievery spirit will be placed. We have a president who is not supposed to take that seat, whether academically and otherwise is not qualified. But thievery spirit will be placed. Go to the other sector, thievery spirit will now be thievery people. And then all the thieves, global thieves, will now invade that nation. All the global thieves will be attracted. They will come and thief all the natural resources. All the international thieves will come as colonial masters, colonize to thief, and they will continue to thief and refuse to go, and continue to destroy, because thievery is destructive. Physical destruction, emotional destruction, psychological destruction, mental destruction, physical destruction. And when the thief is asked to go or forced to go, when you fight the thief fights you back. When you fight corruption, corruption fights you back. And then at the point, the entire system, the entire nation will collapse, because they cannot generate the 90% or 65 or 70% of the common good has been stolen. When every side you look at, everyone is stolen from local government, from state, from assembly, from nation. There are elements of stealing. At the point, this stealing will now loot the entire common good and everybody good. Then the stealers with their big cars and their big mansions will no more have that courage to come home, because those that have rendered poor will now take up arms against them. Here comes arms and bandits, unemployed, underemployed. Those that cannot take up arms will now take up aggressive attacks. Is there so Satan uses different and ensures that in every average one in a corrupt nation has elements of thief. The only opportunity is seeking for is, can he get to a point where he will be in control of public good, so I will work by his own thief. And those who don't have the opportunity to thief will be praying that God will give the opportunity so that they will thief their own share. At the end of the day, the person will be in gross darkness, gross darkness, gross darkness, total darkness, total darkness, confusion everywhere. You start sinking, misfortune will take over, natural disasters will take over everything. Immorality will take over. And God says that when the holy law, divine law is despised in the management of the iniquitous affairs of state, which is as hostile as they are contrary to my providence, when the wicked have deserved my mercy, these things that look at that. When the holy and divine law is despised, the different spirit first of all despises the holy and the divine law. And when they are in the management of affairs of a state, they are the governors, they are the president, they are the legislators. When they are in the position of the management of the affairs of the state, they will be iniquitous. They will despise divine law. In that management of the iniquitous affairs of the state, they will create iniquities in the management of affairs of the state, which will be hostile, which will be contrary to God's providence. Because God's providence has provided for each nation what will be enough for them. But this different spirit, you sort that and place it in the hands of the few. The few will usurp it, barricade themselves with security, and then leave the light populace in hunger. And then the light populace left in hunger will now fight back to take and to thief their own share. And at the end of the day, no one is secure. Just like what we found ourselves today in this country, where the thiefing spirit has taken over, where every global thief has come in to thief oil, crude oil, thief all sorts of thief. And that is why God is saying this 7 commandments. Seven, seven commandments. The level of difference is deep. The level of secret is deep. And as we keep quiet, mute, and watch helplessly, it will continue to worsen. Seven commandments shall not steal. Like the others is transgression of great one. Through a disordered self-love, we begin to thief the general good we think we love ourselves. It is a disordered self. In profaning this commandment, the soul places self first. Yes, he places his soul first ahead of the will of God. The soul loses respect for the boundaries of what is rightfully his and what rightfully belongs to another. Everything that belongs to him, he takes. What belongs to others, he forcefully takes away. He manipulates them, uses authority to intimidate, etc. Everything, every public thing that the person needs belongs to him, belongs to his family. In short, he takes what is not his to have. What is not his or has to have, he takes it. This does not only apply to material things, but also to another's reputation, which he takes when he speaks poorly of someone else. Yes, no one is good, no one is trustworthy, no one he can confine him. Cause he wants the position of heaven. He wants to neutralize the position of heaven. He wants to be the only one that will see. That's another way of differing, damaging the reputation of others, stealing the reputation of others. So it doesn't apply to material things as the eternal Father says, but also to another's reputation which he takes when he speaks poorly of someone. The soul is also guilty of violating this commandment when he misinterprets the faith to others. When he misinterprets the faith to and weakens the faith of others by either in word or action. In so doing, he is stealing the faith from another's heart. Just stealing that faith. You know, we have come and say, this time we have. This one is not about church. This has gone beyond church thing. Then you're weakening the faith of that person. Stealing the faith of that person. Stealing small things encourage the heart to steal bigger and greater things. That is why we must be very attentive and watch children, the youths, the adults. You still small today, okay, nobody talk, nobody. You still small, from small you increase, from increasing, from the then you have the gangsters, pay robbery, you paddle budgets. It is, of course, Satan who inspires every theft. So it should be clear to us that Satan inspires every theft. Every theft. No matter how you look at it is inspired by Satan. It is inspired by Satan. Let's end up with this eighth commandment. Today we will address the eighth commandment. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. The sins of calumny and distraction profane this commandment. The soul who is not consecrated to the truth transgresses this eighth commandment. For his heart is uncharity, and his speech follows suit. Many a soul, community, and nation have been destroyed by unfruitful thoughts. This eighth commandment. Facebook is helping the world to heal the wounds of the head, of the heart. Because people, when they say the wrong thing, other people will say the right thing, and the tension will be doused. Thou shalt not bear false witness against them. When you bear false witness, maybe you post it on Facebook, another person will tell the truth and post it, and it will counter your own. But before now, it is not that. This falsehood will continue until nations begin to fight in nations. States will start fighting states. Villages will start fighting villages. It's one of the great achievements of Facebook. Say, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. The sins of calumny and distraction profane this commandment. Condemn others. Profane others. We distract others. We talk down others. You purpose the plan to bear false witness against an innocent person, to plan evil against out of jealousy against an innocent person, to bring down an innocent person, to destroy the life of an innocent person. Eighth commandment says, thou shalt not bear false witness against them. The sins of calumny and distraction profane this commandment. The soul who is not consecrated to the truth transgresses. What is consecration of your soul to the truth? Standing on the truth. Amen. You know, the man or the woman that stands on the truth is not loved by majority of those that have different spirits. Because you know that once he stands, he is inspired by God. He sees, he looks through your heart, tells you point blank that what you are doing is wrong. No matter your power, no matter you are wrong, no matter your status, and you have a different spirit in you. Even if you're a governor, you're a chairman, you are whatever you are, the man that stands that are the sins of God, the soul who is not consecrated to transgress it is it. So we must consecrate our soul to the truth. Tell ourselves, convince ourselves, stand on the truth in everything. For his heart is uncharity. If you don't consecrate your heart to the truth, your heart becomes uncharitable, becomes envious. When another person is succeeding, you're envious. And when you are envious, your heart and your soul, your motivation will fly away from you. You cannot even grow. Because instead of sitting down and planning on how you will grow, you will sit down on your charitable heart. You will plan on how to bring others within that not successful life. How to bring your job, how to consume your energy, how to consume your in thinking on how to make the world a better place. And his speech follows suit because your mind is conceiving uncharitable things, conceiving wickedness against your brothers and sisters. Unforgiving heart is conceiving unforgiveness, and that unforgiving heart will give birth to unforgiveness. give birth to slang. His speech will not begin to pour out what his mind is congealed in thinking. Many a soul, community, and nation have been destroyed by untruthful tongues. Untruthful tongues have destroyed many souls, many nations. And then, both in politics, somebody might rise up and say, yes, 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 yes. You have to vote only those people from their own side. When he says that, the, the news media, like the good one like Facebook, will carry, and then people will now counter it and say, no, no, what you say is wrong. And then you have to withdraw. And then the person is corrected online. He now sees that that's a very big victory, very big plus for the world. The light of Facebook is helping to down tension for those who made some destructive statements, and they are carried. And then, if that is left without being challenged, you see that it will rise to wars consuming states and nations. But immediately that kind of negative statement is made online, others will counter it, others will point it out, and the person will now keep his mouth shut. So it is helping to make us remember that this standing on the truth is cannot be destroyed, cannot be defeated. Any organization that stands on the truth, any organization that's supposed to, any organization, any industry, any firm that stands on the truth will continue to grow, surge higher. Holy love must stand guard over the heart. Your heart, you have to guard it so that you stand on the truth, so that it will not succumb to bearing false witness. In this way, truth is in speech is preserved. Truth is preserved in speech. The soul who thinks charitably will not be tempted to speak uncharitably. It is a golden thing. When you regularize, when you drill yourself in telling the truth, you now see clearly the dangers and the destructive nature of being uncharitable when you speak. When you're charitable when you speak, people will now who are wounded in their heart will come to you for succor, because they know you will always have a kind word for them. It sets families at peace, it sets states at peace, it sets nations at peace. The soul who succumbs to transgression of the eighth commandment must be convicted in the truth in order to repent. The truth will convince you, the truth will convict you, and the truth will lead you to repent. That truth that is put to you, not like I say, the politician might come and say, yes, if I'm from this region, and because of that, don't vote another person from another region. Then the other people will now, even people from the zone will tell him that what you said is wrong. That is the truth they are putting back to him, and that truth will convict him and convince him and get him repentant. And this job is what Facebook has been doing silently. I don't even know whether they know it. It's a beautiful job that people peace to the world in so many ways. Because the voiceless is finding their voice. A note was given, okay, on, and then we'll move. For every kind of beast and bird, God gave us James chapter 3, verse 7 to 10. James chapter 3, verse 7 to 10. We see every kind of beast and bird, of reptile and sea creature can be tamed and has been tamed by humankind, but no human being can tame the tongue, a restless evil, full of deadly poison. With it we bless the Lord and Father, and with it we cause men who are made in the likeness of God. From the same mouth come blessings and curses. My brethren, this ought not be so. God the Father continues. The heart is like the rudder of the soul. Where it goes, so goes the soul. So, given this important, if we stop bearing false witness, if we stop having that hunger to destroy others, if we stand firmly to put the truth, I use the truth to convict and convince your truth, then God will continue to bless us and be with us now and forever. Amen. Thank you for being a part of this great journey into the Ten Commandments. Always share this message so that others will benefit from it. Follow this page so that others will continue beneficiaries. Because God is calling all of us to our eternal. He told us that this life is just swift and transitory. May His grace continue to pour abundantly in our souls. And may by these words, let our sins through these words be cleansed. Through the power and the precious blood of His Son and Lord and Savior Jesus. May our dear Mother Mary nurture and continue to nurture our spiritual growth and our faith, because she is a gift given to us for this child. God in His infinite kindness, let's just stretch out your hand to the God. Stretch out your hand now and pray and talk to God. Pray and ask Him to touch your soul, to lead you aright, to purge out your sins. Promise Him that you will lovingly follow His commandments so that you can enter into a day without hindrance. A day that is light upon you shining over the night. And step into that. Truth Ten Commandments. May God in His infinite fatherly hands bless us and protect all those who are now facing all sorts of natural disasters. Those who are facing flood, may God protect them. Those who are facing these thieves everywhere, may God protect them. Those who are facing earthquakes, wars, wildfires, and all of us will realize that it's lack of morality that bring in all these tragedies. And repent. Call it pray for souls in purgatory. Talk to God. Go. Stretch your hands to laptop, phone. Stretch your hand to this cross. Promise Him one time. We have put evil high on walls. We have put evil chains. Will set you free. We shine His light on your marrows. We wake you up from your slumber of poor spirituality with the light, the glowing light of spiritual awareness, spiritual knowledge, and spiritual sense for understanding, a deep understanding of His commandments. God in His infinite mercy presence, in the name of His Holy Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you for wonderful. Let's see.